Yeah.
as an edge expert, how do sustainability and innovative practice interest in the project management,
Yeah.
especially regarding large scale housing projects?
Well, that's an interesting one. For people who may not know, EDGE is a green certification, and the full name of it, so that's the acronym, is Excellence in Design for Greater Efficiencies. This is a tool that's been promoted by the IFC, and is generally used in the environment that I operate in. And so, just like being certified as a project manager, you can go through a process and be certified as a green expert. So I went through that process as well. Very important for me for many reasons. I believe that as team lead in the industry that I work in, sustainability and innovation, they're complementary roles, and really they're absolutely inseparable as far as addressing the big challenges of the built environment, and really especially in the context of delivering housing affordably. So if you think about it from the housing space, there's a global crisis already. It's more felt, of course, in emerging markets like mine, where the housing deficit is honestly beyond belief. The World Bank reports that in Nigeria, for example, 70% of people live in substandard or slum housing, right? So that is a big thing. And so we're not talking now just about numbers. We're talking about the quality of lives of human beings, right? And we know what happens with poor housing. So poor housing perpetuates a cycle of poverty. We also know that poor housing from COVID, that housing is health, right? And that
Yeah.
poor housing also, yes,
Mm.
exacerbates poor health. So let's also not forget that the construction industry is notorious for contributing to the global environmental issues that we have. So, without interventions like EDGE certified housing, then we're just compounding the climate crisis, as far as I'm concerned. So, for me, the EDGE certification has provided a kind of practical framework to achieve all the efficiencies that we could have in the built, or many of the efficiencies that we could have in the built environment. And for me as a project manager, it means really embedding these sustainability goals into the projects that we manage. And in my mind, I'm hoping that at some point, construction project managers would actually have a toolkit that is embedded in the entire certification process, and that will become like a standard manner in
Yeah.
which, yeah. um, so where innovation in project management comes in is, first of all, just I have a mindset with every project that where are the issues around sustainability objectives. But we spoke earlier, and it was like often these come at some kind of conflict with budgets and the constraints that we have with budgets. And so managing that is really something that I think is important as a project manager. That balancing act demands creativity from me. And if I think about, so for example, in a housing project that we did a few years ago, what we had to do was we leveraged locally sourced earth,
Mhm.
which had a great insulation properties to build the outer walls of the building, and then we used cheaper material to build the internal walls. And so these are the things that have to be considered as a project manager, and then the savings we then deployed into building shared amenities for the community. There was recreational spaces, and then there was a huge landscape effort as well. So I find that the project manager can lead initiatives like this, especially where it's important to educate the client. Sometimes that's an important thing. So we have we have the privilege, right, really, of educating the client about sustainability and making sure that those are embedded in the projects that we work on. And related to that, for me, I would always talk about this, is the gender issue, right? So we're talking about diversity and inclusiveness.
Yeah.
I see housing as a platform for empowering, particularly for women in the emerging markets, and that's the market that I operate in. The women-headed households are absolutely vulnerable for many reasons. And often they're excluded from all the decisions about property ownership, decision making about housing development. So, as a project manager, I think we have a responsibility to create those solutions that uplift women intentionally. We have to do it intentionally. And again, I talk about toolkits that we're developing to make sure that we integrate gender responsive designs and policies into the projects that we're working on. So yeah, again, finally, I mean, when it comes to, again, related to gender issues, when it comes to engaging women, because when I worked in government, that was a very important component of the work that I was doing. How do I get women engaged in the enterprise of construction, right? They're in that space too. There are very few women.
Yeah.
So what we do is that we actively recruit and train women in construction trades. That's an important thing. So it's not just about creating homes that women have a stake in. It's also about livelihoods. There's a saying that if a woman is empowered, then her family is empowered and her community, by extension, is empowered.